I don't usually talk about my high school days that much because of bullying and such. However, I must admit that it wasn't all darkness and despair. Because there was one thing that I thoroughly enjoyed during those times: music. And because of music, I found my escape from my daily life through a thing called Glee Club. Now I know what you're thinking. A socially awkward individual such as myself singing in the group, is that even possible? Well, yes. And let me tell you just how similar it is to the show Glee. Or at least I think it is. I don't know. If you don't know what Glee is, it's this TV series that aired sometime in 2009. I know because I was in high school back then. It's about a group of losers, I think, I don't remember, united by their love for singing, that they create this Glee club with the help of their teacher. And I don't really remember much else. I know there was like romance and shit, but I don't really remember. It wasn't really my type of show. Anyway, it was around this time in 2009 that I had started high school. First days of school were always awkward, you don't know anyone in your class, and the subject's vastly different from what you're used to. Now, I was a very gung ho kid back in elementary school, but even I found it difficult to adapt to the new high school environment. Still, I tried to become a diligent student, and I just tried to blend in, studying algebra, biology, and such. Now, I thought it was going to be the norm till graduation, but then I was introduced to school clubs. Now, one thing that I was never part of back in elementary school was a club. So I thought that if I joined a club, it would at least bring a little color to my high school life. The question was, what club would I join? There were a lot of choices, but for some reason I joined public speaking. No idea why. I think it's because the advisor of the club knew me from an extemporaneous speech I joined a few months ago, and I just assumed that, it would be the club for me. So I went to the club room, attended the first meeting presentation, and it was boring. Okay, I wasn't expecting like hyperactive members, but there was no life. I don't know. There were a lot of members, but it didn't feel like it was for me. So I left. And for a week, I remained living a mundane school life. Until an announcement was made about newly opened clubs. Obviously, I went to check it out. And in the bulletin board, I saw it: Glee Club. It was interesting, but I didn't know a thing about singing. Piano, yes, but not singing. Then, while I was contemplating, a big, chubby man saw me and asked if I remembered him. I didn't. But then he said that he was there during a piano recital and saw me playing. I don't remember. Anyway, he asked if he wanted me to join his club. What club? Glee Club. And from that weird coincidence, I decided to join the Glee Club. First meeting. I opened the door to the club room and just girls. Just girls. And they were higher years too, so that was really awkward. I didn't really mind at the time because it was a newly opened club and they were still getting new members. So another thing, the advisor, we'll call the advisor Chris, I guess. His name is Chris now. So what Chris didn't tell me was that there was an audition, and new members had to audition for the club, and that audition will indicate that voice that you'll be categorized in. Now, this took me by surprise because first of all, I don't sing. Second of all, I only knew cartoon songs and I guess High School Musical songs. Did I mention I don't sing? Yeah, I don't sing. But it had to be done, so I sang that ending song from Meet the Robinsons. It goes, "These small hours," that song. So it wasn't good, but I tried. Awkward singing later, the teacher then categorized me in alto. No joke, alto. Yes, I know that alto is for females with a slightly lower voice, but I got moved to alto anyway. I think it was because of my high pitched voice back then, but I don't know. Hey, what's important is that I got in, and thus began my new gleeful high school life. Or so I'd say if my first year in the club wasn't so mediocre. The club didn't really have much going on. Sure, we sang in like school events, and like we sang the national anthem every morning, but that was it. I mean, we sang other songs, but it was mainly graded performances. Competitions were reserved for the higher years, so my first year wasn't that exciting. Same can be said for the second year. But during my third year, ooh, that's when everything began to take place. We had a new teacher, which we'll call John, I guess, and he made the whole club much more interesting. So what changed? For one, I was placed in tenor and later on bass, and there were more male members. Not to mention, a lot of them shared similar interests. And not just in singing, but in video games, TV shows, and yes, anime. By the way, word of advice, if you want to enter a course in college where everyone is an otaku, go enter a music course. They're all otakus, at least in my experience. Anyway, back to high school. I remember there was a time the teacher entered us in a citywide choir competition. And this time, it wasn't just the higher years that had to participate. Everyone was in on it. And so we practiced for 2 months in preparation for the competition. Yes, we had to practice a lot, but there were perks. For one, we could be excused from class in order to practice, so that's bye bye to algebra. For a short while, that is. Another is we could use the open court to practice, and whenever it was break time, we'd use the time to slack off and play frisbee or something. We also got to know a lot about every member. Because we were together a lot, we all had this close relationship. A relationship where we'd stand together in the darkest of times. And so during the times I got bullied, I had somewhere to run to. Wasn't enough to end the bullying, but I was glad to know it was there. The downside, though, is having to miss a lot of things in class. And eventually having some teachers dislike you. Fortunately, only one teacher hated me, but that's a story for another day. And so the fated day arrived. It was the day of the choir competition. It was my first sing competition, but I didn't feel any anxiety, weirdly enough. Probably because I wasn't singing alone, but with a team. When we performed on stage, it was like there were no audience, and we were just performing it like it was practice. All that hard work in display for all to see. Yet all we cared about was how fun it was performing together. It wasn't about winning anymore, we just wanted to sing. After the performance, it felt like a weight had been lifted from our hearts, but we still had this desire to win first place. The other schools performed, the results were out, and we won first place. We couldn't believe it. It was like something out of a cheesy movie, but it happened. And it felt like I was finally part of something. From then on until graduation, I sang together with my fellow Glee Club members. We saw some new faces along the way and saw some older faces leave. Eventually, I was going to be one of those older faces and graduated high school as a proud Glee Club member. I might not be a part of the club anymore, but its influence turned me into the music loving person that I am. I even double majored in music in college because of it. I still have the shirts and costumes we wore during those competitions, but even if I lose those, the fact that I was able to be part of something amazing like the Glee Club will never disappear. So yeah, that's it for this video. I wanted to make more videos about the Glee Club members, and I want to talk, I guess, more about my high school days, but that's not gonna happen because that was very traumatic. But if you guys want to me to share anything about my life or something, you can just ask me. Anyway, that's all for me. Bye.